Welcome to TCEA Remote Learning. You can find more episodes at tcea.org/remote learning. My name is Miguel Gulen. I'm a Director of Professional Development. You can reach me at, on Twitter at mglearn or via email at mgulen@tcea.org. Our topic for today is protect your privacy for parent calls. This is something that jumped out at me a few years ago, a great tool that I could share with teachers, but it really came home when my wife, who's a second grade teacher, needed to make phone calls to parents, and she was worried about her smartphone number ending up in the hands of parents, colleagues, etc. She wanted to sort of try to keep the two worlds separate. Unfortunately, sometimes it's necessary to do that as part of our work. So the problem is really, as an educator, you're sort of stuck at home now during remote teaching and remote learning, but there's still an expectation that your administrator is going to have you call parents and make connections. You know, because of the suddenness of COVID-19 sort of springing up on everybody, it was, especially at spring break, many teachers were sort of almost stranded at home with no way to get information to parents. And so it became necessary to contact them by any means necessary, whether it was a phone call, trying to track down their email addresses, and just get information to them. So that way students could find out where they would go to learn. Are they going to go to Seesaw? Are they going to go to Google Classroom? Hopefully, you've established those communications, but you know, a lot of folks didn't, or maybe didn't pay as much attention to it as they needed to. Sometimes you try to sign families up to connect on Seesaw, but they don't really get connected. You know what I mean? And so, what do? You don't want to call complete strangers. I mean, the parents of your kids, using your personal smartphone, and that way they'd have your number forever. You'd start to get text messages and phone calls at all times of the day and night, perhaps, and who knows. So how do you protect against that? Well, one way to do that is to get what's called a Google Voice number. And this is not something that you actually get through your school district. It's not something that they pay for. It's something that you would get through your own Google account. You know, I just had to share this. This was actually based on a blog entry I wrote in March 2020, just as everything was starting to sort of come out. And when I wrote it, I was really pleased at the result. Just on some of the tweets that went out, one school district, Eustis ISD, Eustis Middle School, they decided to sort of coach teachers on how to set up their own Google Voice accounts, and that was something that they did, and they were all ready to go. So you can sort of see the tweets right there. So when might you need Google Voice? Well, if you are already feeling like, yeah, I need it, I want to learn more about it, then you're probably already in there. But there might be other scenarios. And these could include, you know, as I mentioned, your administration needs you to stay in contact with parents. Maybe some small school districts have poor phone systems. They don't have the money to upgrade. So some large school systems are that way too. And they may need an alternate phone somehow. So it's possible to set up a alternate phone, a Google Voice account that works even when the regular phone system does not. Now, you can also, maybe you need a way to keep track of who you call as an educator, and you're worried that your call history might become subject to an open records request. Well, if you're at work, if you're at school, it's not the big deal because you're calling using the school line. But if you're having to do this on your smartphone, it could be that you end up with text messages and other things that are on your smartphone. Wouldn't it be great if you could just turn that information over without passing over your phone? or trying to figure out how do I get these text messages out of my phone and so that others can access them for open records request. Well, you use Google Voice. Google Voice would make that easy because of its web interface. So, as you probably guessed, the solution to these problems is getting a Google Voice number. It's a free-to-start service that's available to you if you have a personal Gmail account. How hard is it to get a personal Gmail account? It's not hard at all. You should be able to get one without any problems whatsoever. And you can make phone calls via the Voice app on your phone or through your web browser. It's really nice to take advantage of it, especially when you're making calls through the web, and you can be confident that you're not sharing your real phone number. So to get started, you really just need a personal Gmail account and a phone number that you can forward calls to. This means that when people call your Google Voice number, it will get transferred to your smartphone or to your landline. So the first step in doing all of this is really just to get a Google Voice account. So first log into your personal Gmail account. This is not your school district G Suite EDU account. This is not your nonprofit organization Gmail account. This is a personal Gmail account. You just go to gmail.com and you can get a free email address, sign up right away, no big deal. If you already have one and you're comfortable with using that, then don't give yourself another email account to worry about, although you certainly can. And then go to voice.google.com. And when you arrive there, it's going to look pretty straightforward. It's going to look like, well, actually, that's going to show you stuff. But if you go there, I'll show you what that looks like. But it sort of looks like this. You'll end up there and you'll be able to sort of sign in. There's a blue sign in button in the top right. And again, just be sure to use your personal Gmail account. Now, when you first get there, you'll start down this road and you'll be asked to select your phone number. And your phone number is based on your area. So if you want to, you can base yourself out of Austin, Texas, or San Antonio, or Dallas, Fort Worth, Paris, Texas, wherever you like, wherever's the nearest phone number. And they would, Google will generate or find you a number. So for example, you can see here that I chose a number or a city in the 512 area, which happened to be Austin. This number is the number that you're going to want to write down because this is your new Google Voice number. And once you start up, it'll say enter a number to link. So you're going to make that connection between Google Voice phone number and either your smartphone or your landline. And again, I recommend a smartphone because you'll be able, if you have an Android or iPhone, you'll actually be able to put an app on your phone that you can then use to make phone calls, and that's really convenient. So step 3, once you have it all set up, you'll see a screen that's very similar to this one. You can see my Google Voice number is there, and I really feel comfortable sharing that with you because you know what? If I start getting messages, phone calls, I can actually filter those out. Google makes it easy to block spammers and block calls. You can send all calls to voicemail. You can set up do not disturb. And so it becomes a very powerful tool that you can take advantage of to really sort of separate work and home. So maybe you might have all calls go to voicemail after 3 o'clock. Isn't that convenient? And your voicemails will actually get transcribed. That means that they'll take the audio, turn it into words, and send it to you as an email so you can read it. So you can decide what's the priority level. Do I really need to listen to this message right now, or can it wait till tomorrow? Step 4 is make phone calls via the Voice app on your smartphone. So if you need to make phone calls via the Voice app on your smartphone, you can do that. You can see this is what it sort of looks like. You can see this call is going out to Janice Wang, and it's being made through via Google Voice. And Google Voice will work either through Wi-Fi or through your regular phone connection, although Wi-Fi works great. When you first install the app, you're going to be asked to verify that that you're the person you say you are, you'll probably it'll send you a code. And that's not an unusual process, but if it's new to you, just take your time with it, and you'll be up and running in no time. Now, once you've set it up on both your computer and on your smartphone, you might want to go back to the web and customize your settings. Now, one of the neat things about Google Voice is that you can customize those settings, and those settings include a do not disturb. So the do not disturb piece, it means that you can say, hey, don't bug me. I don't want to be bothered. Send all calls to voicemail, and that can be set up for after work hours. Another neat feature might be that you want to record some professional greetings. So think about that. That's a big advantage. You can set up a professional greeting. Thank you for calling. This is second grade teacher or third grade teacher, whatever, Miguel Gulen, and please feel free to leave your a name and number and perhaps an email address that I can reach you at. I'm so excited to have you reach out to me. I'll get back to you soon. Whatever you want to say, you can do that. You're also able to screen calls. One of the things that I love about getting Google Voice is that when I get a phone call, I'm able to decide whether I want to listen to who it is first before I jump in. So I have the choice. I can listen to who's calling me. They'll say, hey, I'm Johnny's parent. I wanted to touch base with you about that assignment that you sent out. And then you can choose to decide, is that something you want to respond to in that moment? Press 1, and then you can start talking to the person. Or if you just want to send that call to voicemail, press 2, and it goes to voicemail. So it's a pretty straightforward tool that you can use. I love Google Voice. I think it's a great thing. And I know that sometimes people are worried about what's the cost, and that's certainly a valid cost for you. But let me jump back up here. If you click on Google Voice calling rates, you'll see that you have calling rates for all over the world. And in that case, you would have to pay money. But if you look for United States, any calls in the United States, and I'm going to hope that you don't have kids all over the world, but you might, you can make calls in the U.S. at $0, 0 cents. Isn't that incredible? So you have access to this fantastic resource that's available for $0, and you'll be able to use that to make calls. So let's take a quick look at Google Voice. This is sort of the interface that we have. And you'll notice that over on the left-hand side, there's called the pancake stack, those 3 horizontal lines. You can access your calls, messages, and you can even send messages. And that's really convenient because when you click on send message, you can use your full-size keyboard on your computer instead of trying to do it all on your thumb typing on your smartphone. You can also listen to any voicemails that you might have and have any archive or spam components. If you come over here to the top right-hand corner, you can adjust your audio settings, especially if you have a headset or mic. And if you go into your settings, this is where you'll be able to link your phone number. You can show your Google Voice number as caller ID when forwarding calls. This is kind of neat because people never get people will be able to see, or you'll be able to see the Google Voice. Here's that do not disturb feature. You can get voicemail via email, as well as a lot of other things here. So the settings, as you can see, are pretty straightforward, and I don't think you'll have a lot of trouble working on this. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I also want to point out that The original blog entry that sort of serves as the background for this was published March 21st, 2020. You can find it at blog.tca.org, and it has all of the great resources and links there for you. So again, make the effort to protect your privacy for parent calls, as well as to separate the two worlds that you might be dealing with. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on Twitter at mglearn. My email is mgulen@tca.org. And folks, definitely check out some of our other offerings at tca.org/remote learning. Thanks for listening and watching.